Now, England are preparing for their round of 16 knockout game with Slovakia on Sunday. So many talking points in the build-up to the game, and I'm delighted to say the former England defender Phil Jagielka joins us now. Hello, Phil. We'll talk about England in just a moment, but first, you've been helping out the Everton amputee team ahead of the FA Disability Cup final. Let's just take a look at with the pictures of this.
Sorry. It was tough, as you can tell, I'm out of breath. I wasn't in a passenger. You imagine me going into a game. You have to use different parts of your foot, which I quickly learned how awkward I feel on them. And how natural you guys make the game look with it. You look so comfortable. It's just a manipulation of everything, even like you just said, outside, inside of your feet.
What a finish that was. There's some great skill in that video, Phil. Not so much from you. It doesn't look easy. How was it?
Difficult. I knew it would be difficult, to be honest. The only time I'd been on crutches previously was to sort of stop me going at any speed and protect me with an injury. So when they gave me a set and told me I had to sort of hop on one leg and try and play football, I knew it was going to be difficult. And it was. I'm not going to lie, it was really difficult. I was tired. And fair play to the guys. You know, it's a big weekend for obviously England this week, but also for the guys at the amputee team. They're obviously down at St George's Park and they've got a big final coming up themselves. Yeah,
best of luck to them and to everybody involved. Let's focus on the Euros, Phil. How do you rate England's tournament performances so far?
It's a tough one to rate. End of the day, job done. You know, top of the table. We've got a favourable draw going forward, but obviously we'd have liked to have played better, been probably a bit more attack-minded. But we've qualified. I think what matters now is going forward. I say things have opened up for us. The draw does look quite kind, but we do need to start probably putting in better performances. I think the Slovakia game would be really difficult. As much as they're probably not a big, massive, obviously country on paper. You know, they've done fantastically well in their group, so it'll be a tough game. And then hopefully we can find a bit more rhythm going forward, keep the clean sheets coming and travel a bit further in this tournament.
Yeah, it's interesting that your first response is job done. I think most fans always want to see a bit more creativity, excitement coming from the team that they support. Do football players, specifically those involved in these tournaments, see it differently?
It's a tough one. I think you've got to look at it. You know, what are you trying to achieve at the tournament? I think if England do go on to have a successful tournament, I don't think too many people care how we did in the group stages. To play nice football, to play well and lose is not what tournament football's about. But I do get it. These fans, you know, I'm a fan myself, slightly different, obviously, because I've played at that level. But I think you do want to see more exciting football. You do want to get sort of edgy your seats, but it's difficult, you know. That's why it's one of the toughest jobs, you know, going for Gareth is obviously to try and pick a team that's going to A, qualify, but B, obviously entertain the millions of fans. Obviously, we're a nation that gets gripped by football, especially when tournament football comes. We're desperate to win one, and this year's no different.
Yeah, you've played for England, you've played in these tournaments. It doesn't feel to me like they're gelling perhaps as well as many of us would have hoped. Why do you think that is?
If I knew the exact answer, I'd probably be giving the manager a ring myself. It's difficult. Obviously, we're struggling a little bit on the left side. Obviously, Chips is doing a good job, but he's not naturally, obviously, a left-footed and a left-back. Then, even then, ahead of him, we've not naturally got someone who plays there week in, week out. So it has been difficult. I think if we address that situation and potentially put someone out there who's a bit more comfortable, I don't know, but it's sometimes ways. I believe it's really hot over in Germany. I've seen the state of a few of the pitches. So there's me as a footballer. I'm making up excuses already for the guys. But it's never that simple. These players don't play with each other week in, week out. And they probably don't know each other as well as they do, obviously, at club level. And that's obviously the hardest thing in international football. There's so many players for England to choose. It's putting the right people on the pitch at the right time.
Yeah, there's so many decisions, potential decisions, selection headaches for Gareth Southgate. Everyone you speak to, whether it's out on the street or fans following England in Germany, will give you a different thing that they think that England need to change. You mentioned Kieran Trippier, right-footed, playing at left-back. Is that a solution that works moving forward?
I don't know. It depends, obviously, the teams we get to play. We haven't got too many other options. And I said it when the squad was announced that we haven't got a natural left-sided centre-half and we haven't got a natural left-back. So the whole sort of left side in defence hasn't got, you know, the person to create those passing lines that side. So it does make it a bit more difficult. Who do you play there? I don't know. it's really tough. And I think obviously defensively, Trippier, it does a fantastic job. He's a good defender, but going forward, it's obviously going to be more difficult. So what the answer is, I don't know. So tongue in cheek, maybe put Saka at left back and let him enjoy a bit of time down the left wing. But to be fair, I'm not sure what the solution is. It's just maybe you hope the defence sort of keeps these clean sheets coming in, and the rest of the players, sort of the other 5 outfield players, 6 outfield players, can gel together, and we're not talking about the defenders creating the width and creating the chances, and then maybe they can start scoring some goals.
Saka at left back would at least be a left-footed player at left back, so that's one potential solution. We've seen 3 different players in midfield alongside Declan Rice. Trent Alexander-Arnold started, Conor Gallagher's had a go, Kobbie Mainoo's had a go. Who would you go with for the Slovakia game?
I said from the beginning I'd have liked to have seen Bellingham have a chance in some of the warm-up games. I know it was difficult. Obviously the last warm-up games, obviously because of the Champions League, but previously, just to see how he did, and see if he did actually form a partnership with Rice, because that would obviously create space for the number 10, where I think we've probably got the blessing of obviously potentially playing Foden or Palmer, obviously Bellingham himself. So I think I'd have liked to have seen that maybe 6 months ago in some of the friendlies or some of the games leading up to obviously the Euros. It's a bit difficult now for him to abandon sort of everything that he's done previously and totally change Jude, who's obviously arguably one of our better players, to go and play centre mid. So it's difficult. I think Mainoo did well. He came on. It was always going to be a case of the team didn't perform very well in the first half, so he was always going to do a little bit better. And I thought Mainoo did very well when he come on. So potentially he's probably rubber stamped his place in there for at least this game. But yeah, I do think it's a little bit of a problem finding the right partner, not only for him, but obviously for Bellingham as well.
Yeah, blessed with so much individual talent all across the starting team and beyond. A blessing that perhaps is a curse for Gareth Southgate a little bit. You mentioned Cole Palmer's name. Should he start for you?
He can do, yeah. It's the same again. I don't know if he will. I think if you're talking about a player who can't do any more, I think he literally can't, unless he's training horrendously, which I don't imagine he is. I don't think there's anything else he can do. He's had a fantastic season. People weren't sure how he'd do at Chelsea. He literally carried him for the season. He's come on, scored in his England debut. He came on the other night, looked like a breath of fresh air. So I don't think he can do any more. Whether he'll get to start or not, I don't know. So I think I've firmly sat on the fence with would I start him or not. But I think there's nothing else he could do to get himself a chance.
Yeah, I think there might be 1 or 2 splinters in your backside with that comment sitting on that fence. Let's have a little look then about the rest of the players. So Cole Palmer, when he came on, it was a breath of fresh air, as you say. He doesn't seem weighed down by that shirt. When you wore the England shirt, when you see this England team, does it appear that England shirt weighs heavier than their club teams?
I don't think it. I think the new generation, I think they're used to it. They come into the limelight, and the way social media is, and interviews, post-game, pre-games, and everything that goes with football these days. I don't think it affects the majority like it potentially would have done when obviously I was coming through. But it is a totally different, how can I put it, pressure. You've not only got probably 50,000 people coming to your game, or a couple of million people that want you to do well. You've literally got the whole nation, and you're under a microscope. And you've also got to bear in mind, for instance, there'll be non-Chelsea fans that are potentially wanting a Chelsea player like Cole Palmer to play. So it's a bit of a weird one when you're supporting someone else, sort of your nemesis, if you like, who's probably scored goals against you all season. You're now supporting them, obviously with the England shirt on. So the scrutiny, the excitement and the passion we have as a nation to win something just goes on another level. I know obviously we have quite passionate fans for obviously your own team, but when it comes to England, we're that desperate to do well, and we see we have a pretty good chance to do so. It's not like we haven't got any good players. We have got some fantastic players and some fantastic future players as well in the squad, and we're just so desperate for it to all come together and perform and hopefully bring a trophy home.
One real positive takeaway from England's 3 games so far has been the back line. The only goal they've conceded was a stunner from 30 yards out against Denmark. How have you rated the defence?
Yeah, I think there's still obviously room for improvement, but I think when you look at it, most people would have expected obviously Maguire to have made it, and then potentially Shaw to have been fit by now, and then it would have been sort of a tried and tested sort of back 4, back 5, maybe back 6 if you include Rice ahead of it. But it has changed, and I thought Gahey's had a fantastic tournament so far. Him and John have made not too many mistakes between them. They've mopped it up. I think they're creating a really good partnership between them, and that's what it's all about. And I think that's the good thing to come from the early part of the games. We've not performed too well, so maybe they've been tested more than we would have liked, but they've stood up to the test. Like you said, we've only conceded a goal from outside the box, and hopefully the clean sheets will continue and things will click into gear going forward.
And if those clean sheets continue, how far can England go?
Well, I'd like to see them go all the way and then some, but like I say I'm not going to try and look past this weekend. It's going to be a tough game, and like I say that they will be the underdogs, Slovakia, and they've done, they didn't mind doing that in the group. Obviously, did really well. So it's up to us now to obviously to go out there and beat them and hopefully get into the next round.
Let's focus on one of your old clubs, Everton. Jarrad Branthwaite had a brilliant breakout season for them last season. Do you think he should have been at the Euros, and how big a career do you think he can have?
Yeah, again, I think we spoke about Cole Palmer, how he sort of deserved his place in the squad and potentially deserves his place in the starting 11. I think with Jarrad, it might be a slightly bit different. I think he deserved probably a chance to make the squad and have as an experience. Again, naturally left-footed on that left side, it does bring a different aspect to the game. Obviously, the way you play out from the back and things like that. I think it would have been a great tournament to potentially just having it as an experience. I'm not sure how much game time he would have got. If you look at centre halves, you don't normally sub them off or change them, especially if you're doing well. So I think it would have been sort of a tournament to learn. But he'll take some much needed time off now. I'm sure there'll be transfer talk about him throughout the close season and pre-season. What will happen, we don't know. Obviously, with Everton's finances, I'm not too sure what the situation is there. But no, he's had a fantastic season, and what he's got to do now is prove that's not a one-off and go and do it again next year.
Yeah, one player who didn't get much of a look in last season was Ben Godfrey, just 15 appearances for Everton last season. We've seen pictures just a few minutes ago, him arriving in Milan ahead of a medical at Atalanta. Champions League football for Ben Godfrey. Do you think he can thrive there?
Yeah, I think Ben's a player that needs to be playing. I think he obviously suffered pretty bad leg break and he didn't really get over it tremendously well and wasn't probably given the game time to do so. So I think he's only got 1 year left, and I think obviously the deals obviously suits both Atalanta and Everton, and for me, a fantastic defender, but he needs to be playing week in, week out now, and I think he needs to go and regain his form, and it's not a bad place to go and play. Obviously, they won the Europa League, it'll be in Champions League football, a different type of obviously league playing in Italy, and I'm sure he'll do fantastically well over there.